They made magic. They made mayhem. And through the chaos, they made history. Fleetwood Mac was always more than a band. It was a beautiful, broken family. And now, with Christine McVie's passing, one of its quietest, strongest hearts has stopped beating. She was the calm in their storm, the steady songwriter, the peacemaker between fire and fury. Without her, the delicate balance they've clung to for decades feels shattered. But what happens when the glue that held them together is gone? What now for Stevie Nicks and Lindsey Buckingham? Two icons, bound by genius, scarred by love, and haunted by everything left unsaid. Music builds deeper, heavier. Can the band survive when its soul is missing? Can old wounds ever truly heal without the one who kept them from bleeding out? Because if you thought the story ended with the chain, think again. This is more than a band saga. It's a reckoning. This is the tragic, tangled aftermath of Fleetwood Mac, where harmony was never just about the music, it was about survival. Christine McVie was never the loudest voice in the room, but her voice, warm, melancholic, unmistakable, was the one that grounded Fleetwood Mac when everything else was coming apart. From the heartbreak behind Songbird to the resilience of Don't Stop, Christine brought balance to a band constantly teetering on the edge. While the spotlight often swirled around the chaos of Stevie, Lindsey, and the band's endless drama, Christine stood quietly in the center, steady, soulful, and strong. She was the heart of Fleetwood Mac, the quiet architect behind some of their most enduring songs, the one who could translate emotional wreckage into something beautiful. But on November 30th, 2022, the world lost her gentle light. The official cause? A stroke, complicated by cancer. Quiet, sudden, heartbreaking. Her passing wasn't just the end of an era. It was a shift in the band's gravitational force. Stevie Nicks called her my best friend in the whole world. Mick Fleetwood said, Fleetwood Mac has lost its songbird. And with her death, the future of Fleetwood Mac became a question no one wanted to answer, but could no longer ignore. Stevie Nicks was the first to speak out. In a handwritten note posted online, Stevie called Christine her best friend in the whole world since the first day of 1975. She wrote, "See you on the other side, my sweet sister." But behind that grief was something more, a loneliness Fleetwood Mac fans could feel in their bones. Because with Christine gone, Stevie stood alone in a band that once revolved around its tangled love triangles and sibling-like rivalries. Christine had been her grounding force, her musical counterpart, her confidant, her emotional anchor. Now, without her, Stevie's voice echoed in an emptier room. It wasn't just the end of an era. It was the end of her era. No more stolen glances during Songbird. No more backstage laughter. No more harmony from the only person who truly understood her inside Fleetwood Mac. And perhaps nothing felt more uncertain than her long and complicated history with Lindsey Buckingham, the man she once loved, fought, wrote classics about, and ultimately distanced herself from. Without Christine, would there ever be another tour? Another reunion? Or had the final chord already been struck? Stevie didn't just lose a friend. She lost the last part of Fleetwood Mac that still felt like home. The last time Stevie and Lindsey shared a stage was 2018. But it didn't end in applause. It ended in silence. That year, Lindsey was fired from Fleetwood Mac after Stevie allegedly gave an ultimatum. Him or me. Lindsey's version of events? He said the band lost its heart when he left. He blamed Stevie for pushing him out. She said she couldn't work with him anymore. Bitterness. Decades in the making. A creative partnership turned Cold War. And now, with Christine gone, the quiet diplomat, the soul of the band, and one of the few who stayed close to both sides, there's no middle ground left. No bridge. No buffer. Could Christine's death have softened the icy wall between them, or only made it more permanent? In interviews, both Stevie and Lindsey have expressed grief, not just over Christine's passing, but over time lost. Lindsey has said, "There's a lot I wish had gone differently." Stevie, too, has hinted at regret, but never reconciliation. Fans dream of one last moment, a stage, a song, a peace offering. But for now, the rift remains. Old wounds, New silence. Following Christine's death, Mick Fleetwood was blunt. I think the line in the sand has been drawn with the loss of Chris. I'd say we're done. Done. A word no fan wants to hear. A word that feels heavier when spoken by someone who's carried the band through hurricanes of sound and storms of emotion. But maybe the story was never meant to have a perfect ending. Maybe Fleetwood Mac's legacy was always meant to be a beautiful contradiction. Harmonies layered over heartache, success shadowed by dysfunction. They were a band built on delicate balances, love and loss, melody and madness. Christine was the calm in the chaos, the warm center of a swirling storm. Her absence isn't just emotional, it's structural. Still, even in silence, their music speaks. Each note a memory, each lyric a scar. And maybe that's the real ending. Not with a bang or a reunion, but with the echo of songs that refuse to fade. A legacy not closed, but forever unfinished. There were rumors, wild ones. Talk of Stevie and Lindsey speaking again. Talk of one final tribute tour, with Christine songs ringing through packed stadiums, carried by backup singers, old footage, or even holograms. But talk is cheap. And Fleetwood Mac? They've always been more thunder than lightning in recent years. No new album. No reconciliations. Just ghost notes and growing silence. Behind the scenes, emotions run deep. Christine was the heart, her calm balancing the chaos. Without her, the band feels like a beautiful ruin, iconic but cracked beyond repair. Mick Fleetwood remains hopeful. He's hinted that anything's possible in the world of Mac. But Stevie? She's been guarded, calling Christine's death the end of the end. And Lindsey, despite olive branches, remains largely on the outside looking in. Fans still dream of Gypsy under the stage lights, of the chain with all the links intact, of one last defiant encore. But maybe the dream now lives in memories, not arenas. Maybe the final reunion won't be a show, but a legacy honored from afar. Still, something remarkable happened after Christine died. Streams of everywhere surged. Songbird played at memorials. Covers poured in on TikTok and YouTube. Her voice, calm, clear, and timeless, suddenly felt more essential than ever. New generations discovered the quiet strength behind Fleetwood Mac's chaos. Not the drama, not the headlines, but the heart. And suddenly, it wasn't Stevie's witchy mystique or Lindsey's guitar wizardry making headlines. It was Christine's legacy. The peacemaker, the balladeer, the unshakable soul behind the storm. She never needed the spotlight, but now, it's finding her anyway. In a band known for breakups, betrayals, and breakdowns, Christine was the one who held things together. Her songs weren't just hits, they were lifelines, little lies, you make loving fun over my head. Even in death, her grace echoes louder than the chaos ever could. Christine McVie didn't just write the soundtrack of a generation. She soothed it, and that's a legacy no storm can wash away. Fleetwood Mac may never share the same stage again. Christine's voice may never ring live across another arena. But in every whispered lyric, in every memory of backstage fights and chart-topping hits, her presence remains. Because Fleetwood Mac wasn't just about music. It was about love, loss, betrayal, and redemption, all played in perfect harmony and painful dissonance. They were a band, but also a storm, a family, but also a fracture. What made their music unforgettable was that it came from places too raw to fake. As the band steps into the unknown, fractured, fragile, and forever changed, one question lingers. Was Fleetwood Mac a moment in time, or a legacy that time can never touch? Their story may not end with a final chord, but with echoes, haunting, beautiful, and endlessly replayed. And maybe that's the most fitting finale of all.